Daniel Gade. He's running for U.S. Senate. That'll be decided. His nomination will be decided in a primary tomorrow. Absentee ballots are done. Too late for that. You can vote today by going to your local registrar, or you can vote in your regular local polling place on Tuesday. This is an open primary. It's all over the state. He's running for U.S. Senate. There's a couple other candidates in the race. Neither of them have a shot. Daniel Gade is going to win this handily. And by the way, our election night show with all the results will be coming to you live tomorrow night, starting at 5 p.m. Sachs Live at 5 will be with me at Scott Taylor Victory headquarters in Virginia Beach. Saxman 5 to 6 with his show, Sachs Live at 5. And then our special election night coverage will be 6 p.m. until 9 when everything is over. I expect an early night, not a lot of close races out there, but we're going to be covering it all nonetheless. So with us now, the favorite to be the Senate nominee to go up against Mark Warner, Daniel Gade. Daniel, great to have you with us.
Good morning, John. Thanks for having me, and I hope maybe we can talk tomorrow night during our victory party.
You definitely call in tomorrow. We'll be on for several hours. I expect it to be over early. Daniel, last poll I saw that somebody did, you had a monster lead, something like 70 to 25 or something. But polls don't always tell the story. How does your race look?
No, I think we're doing great, and part of it is that I just got this great team of volunteers and staff and like 75 or 80 interns who are making calls every single day, and we've done over I'm almost 200,000 calls. I mean, we're just absolutely crushing the field program right now. And that's great because I've never been in politics before. I'm brand new. I'm just a servant. And so it takes a lot to get the word out, as you and I talked about a couple different times.
Let's say you win Tuesday, and I think you're going to win handily. Look, Warner's got, I don't know what, $6 or $7 million. We're in a blue state. He's got, $10 million. He hasn't even started the fundraise, right? I think he's the official nominee now. He'll raise another 10, he'll have 20, 25 million. Trump is likely not going to win Virginia. I'm hoping we can make it competitive, but it's a blue state. So you basically are on no radar screen. You're going to get no Senate, Republican Senate money. How do you make the race competitive?
Well, remember in the Bible, David's own brothers laughed at him when he picked up some stones and went out against Goliath. So I'm not worried about that. And the other thing I'm not worried about is, when George Allen, this is a true story, when George Allen started one of his races, I don't remember if it was the Senate or the governor race, when he started, the day after the primary, he was down by 31, and he won by 18. So ultimately, at the end of the day, yes, money matters. Of course it does. Yes, organization matters, name ID, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, what Virginians are going to have to do when they go into that voting booth in November is decide between a career politician and a career servant. And given how career politicians are, like your previous caller was talking about, career politicians are allowing our cities to be trashed. Career politicians are sitting aside while our government falls apart. Career politicians are allowing the government to spy on people without warrants, to have wars that drag on and on and on without any declaration of war. There's a whole bunch of things that if you look at D.C. or, D.C.'s baby cousin Richmond, and you say you don't really like that, well, guess what? Then we need to change. And so this is an opportunity for us to have a change, and that's the fundamental message right now.
Well, look, you've got an uphill battle, right? But you can't get in the game until you win, until you're the nominee tomorrow, Daniel, right? So you have to do that first. Let's do first things first, and then you take it from there. Once this thing is settled, Tuesday really the last nomination that we've got, except for the 7th, which is I think July 15th or something.
July 18th, I think.
July. I've been saying July 15th forever. It's July 18th. I should say that. We're also contemplating having a debate. So far, I've got 3 of the contestants want in, one of them doesn't, so I've got to get that worked out. Look, you have to start by first winning tomorrow. Let's say you win, and I think you are. What are going to be the top 3 differentiators that you're going to try to distinguish yourself apart from Mark Warner?
Well, again, the very first one and the easiest one is, career servant versus career politician. And although Mark spent, a decade or so in business, really what he was doing is capitalizing on his political, insider knowledge to make that big pile of money. And I don't begrudge somebody making a big pile of money. I just want people to know how that happened. Number 2, and is critically important is we have to get this economy back to work. And the idea, I mean, this is a shocking thing, but the idea that our own senior senator thinks it's a good idea to bail out state and local governments that have been mismanaged for decades in blue states is a stark difference, because I think that governments should be managing themselves, and if they mismanage their pension obligations, then doggone it, they should bear the pain for that. He thinks we should send $1 trillion of our taxpayer money, including Virginians' money, to places like Chicago and New York and LA. And the last thing is, obviously, the Republicans have lost for a long time by giving up on issues like health care. And I'm going to compete on health care because Republican ideas are better on health care. Now, we don't always do a great job of articulating them, but here's what we need to do. We need to protect people with pre-existing conditions. We need to use free market forces to drive down prices through competition. And we need to do something about prescription drugs. And I've got a couple of really great ideas that are gonna be able to drive down some of the costs associated with prescription drugs for people. And so I'm happy to compete on those things. Educational freedom, all of that. Now, if you just compete, of course I'm pro-life, of course I'm pro-Second Amendment, but competing on those two issues alone is insufficient. What you need to do is compete on a wide variety of issues, and I'm excited to take this fight on.
Well, listen, I commend you for doing what you're doing, Daniel. This is an uphill battle, taking on somebody that's going to end up with well over $20 million for a Senate race where he's an overwhelming favorite in a state where, the last statewide Republican victory, they lost, I think, 10 in a row, 12 in a row. I lost count, maybe 13. But you got to go all the way back to 2009, Bob McDonnell and Bill Bowling, and that ticket's a long time off, right? So 11 years, nobody's won statewide. This is an uphill battle, no question about it. Somebody has to do it. And I know one thing about Mark Warner, if you challenge him to debates, he's not going to shy away. He likes the engagement. The last time he ran, Gillespie didn't want to debate him, as silly as that is. You've got a record, you serve, you ought to be able to do that. I think if you challenge him to 6 real debates, I think he'll probably take you up on it. And you go from there and see how it goes. I mean, I think you have the ability to draw a contrast and hold the senator accountable on some key issues, right?
I think that's exactly right. I have a PhD in policy, so I'm happy to engage on policy issues. I've got a super compelling life story. I lost a leg in combat. Was decorated for valor. I've got a young and attractive family. From a silly political point of view for low information voters, my curb appeal if I was a house is pretty good. And so I'm happy to debate him. I'll debate him every day between October 1st and the election. But the truth is, he would be a fool to debate me that many times, and the reason is because those contrasts would become so clear, and he needs to avoid that. He needs to go on. Somebody in Accomack County the other day said to me, and I think this is exactly right. They said, I don't really like Mark Warner, but he's kind of a habit. And I thought that was really funny. Like, for a lot of Virginians, he is a habit, and I need to have enough resources to show people that he's a bad habit and get them to break their bad habit.
What he's very good at doing is campaigning as a moderate and going back to his business experience. And, he started a company and he lived in his car, and Terry McAuliffe fired him, and he, got back on his feet, and now he's a multimillionaire. And so he campaigns as a moderate. I mean, I endorsed him in 2014 against Ed. I thought back then, I knew the Republicans were going to win the Senate. I thought it was important for Virginia to have somebody there that had seniority. I knew he was going to be ranking member of Senate Intel. I thought he had a good feel for that. I knew him personally. Have I been happy with everything he's done? Absolutely not. And I'm very disappointed over the Russia thing, where he got on TV every day, every Sunday, and talked about where there's smoke, there's fire, and I've got information that I can't share. And then he went to try to meet with Steele in London. I mean, that was a lot of nonsense. He basically got on TV every week, and he either lied or he was grossly misinformed, either of which are bad. And so I'm not endorsing him again. I can't do it based on that. I thought I was going to get a better Mark Warner than I got, and I just got another partisan. And so I was very disappointed in that. I thought he was different. He's not. But now we're in a time, it's just like if you're a Democrat now, it just doesn't matter. In order to survive, you just got to be a left-wing whack job. I mean, that's what it ends up being. And it's sad because you can't back a Democrat other than Morrissey, who I back, and Chad Peterson. These are like the last two guys standing that are able to stand up to their own party. He's got to answer to the fact that he got on TV every Sunday and told everybody there was something that he saw. I remember every Sunday he'd be there. Well, there's more questions than answers. Well, there's more smoke, there's a fire. And, well, there's things I've been briefed on that I can't talk about. He wasn't briefed on squat, right? He was just fueling the flames of this Russian hoax for nothing, for partisan gain. And that really upset me. I thought he was better than that. Obviously, he's not.
Well, here's what I say, John. I say that either, maybe, let's pretend like Trump colluded, and Senator Warner couldn't find it, which means he's incompetent. Or Trump didn't collude, and Senator Warner told us for 3 years that he did.
3 years, yeah. See, that's the thing.
In which case, right? In which case he's a liar. So which is it?
Right.
Is he incompetent or is he a liar? He's going to have to answer that.
Either way,
he's going to have to answer that.
I even remember who's the senator he's since stepped down, but the old Intel member from North Carolina.
Burr.
Burr, the chairman, who, kind of went with Warner on it. They did it bipartisan. And finally Burr said, look, there's been 30 months of this. There's no evidence. I'm done. I'm out. I can't do it anymore. There's no evidence. He didn't do anything. And then Warner gets on even and he says, well, I don't agree. There's a lot of evidence. There was no evidence. So, you know what? It's a lot of nonsense, and he's got to own up to that. Hopefully, Daniel Gade, you'll hold him accountable. People want more information, Daniel, on your campaign. Where do they go?
Awesome. Easiest way is at Gade for Virginia, GADEFOR Virginia on Facebook, or my website is gadeforvirginia.com.
We'll look forward to talking to you tomorrow night. I'll be live at Scott Taylor Headquarters Victory Party. Daniel Gade will be calling in. He is expected to win the nomination very handily. John Fredericks Radio Network.